After trading away both Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, the Utah Jazz have really overperformed their expectations for the season, currently sitting at 8th in the West, one win over 500. This is of course in large part due to the play of first-time All-Star and most improved frontrunner Lauri Markkanen, whose vast offensive skill set has put the league on notice. Lauri's always been a pretty good shooter, but this season in particular, he's been an absolute flamethrower, attempting more than 6 threes a game off the catch and hitting over 44% of them. Being a true 7-footer, his height allows him to shoot right over contests, even when he's seemingly smothered, and he can hit just as comfortably off of movement, making him a really tough off-ball cover on the outside. Utah loves to run him off of screens, where he's 4th in the NBA in scoring, and this could be anything from a flare action to a quick pin down and set shot, or even flowing right into it with a dribble handoff. It's not just in set play designs where he's an active mover. He's constantly relocating and repositioning himself to further space the floor and allow for easier passing angles, lifting above the break, dropping to the corner, or starting inside and flashing all the way out to the three-point line for tight windows of opportunity. This movement allows him to get a decent volume of outside shots off without much traditional self-creation, where his shot-making ability, especially off the catch, has made him one of the league's most effective three-point shooters. Perhaps the most important thing that comes from this ability is how it opens up more offense on the interior, where he's been a ridiculous play finisher for his team. Again, he's a legit 7-footer, and for that size, his athleticism really pops, both moving well and exploding off the ground for a decent vertical leap. His finishing around the rim is great, and it's his aggression that stands out most. If he has the ball near the paint, it's going up, especially with downhill momentum. It feels like he puts a new rim protector on a poster every single night. That constant pressure has him getting to the line at a career high of about 6 times a game, making 87.5% of them, and with added contact, he's still a huge threat to score. That's because his touch is some of the best we've ever seen from someone of his size, having it all from soft touch floaters and hooks to finger rolls and scoop layups through traffic. Again, because he's not too much of a self-creator, most of these opportunities are coming as a result of his movement. He's an active cutter with amazing feel for where and when to dive. Finney Smith is hugging him on the perimeter due to the threat of him coming off a screen into an open jumper, so he darts backdoor and actually gets a pretty open lane, but is missed. Instead of giving up on the play, he immediately repositions himself to the weak side block, where an easy dump off leads to a dunk. His size makes him an easy passing target in these spots, and when paired with that agility, allows him to almost serve as a supersized wing with quick jukes and darts to the basket. Again, his threat as an outside shooter forces Nance to step out all the way to the three-point line and deny the ball as he goes to receive a dribble handoff. This leaves a wide open cutting lane with no rim protector in position. He also has tons of utility as a screener, where he's a multifaceted threat. He's able to get downhill quickly and finish with momentum, even getting above the rim as a lob threat, but he can also receive passes early and put the ball down in the short roll for quick drives, or pop all the way back out for some more of that brilliant three-point shooting off the catch. His versatility creates a ton of coverage issues for defending these actions. Miami switches this one, so he just slips while sealing deep position, where a quick entry and layup almost looks too easy. And he's a master of reading defenders and slipping the screen like this. Here's just an incredible play call by Coach Will Hardy that sees Lauri starting near the baseline, coming off a pin down to the elbow where he can get into a high pick and roll with Conley, or fake that screen into another one for Clarkson on the weak side, only to end up with a wide open dunk of his own. What happened here is that first fake screen forced an awkward switch that left the defense out of position, and without looking, Markkanen reaches back to make contact with Bridges and make sure he's following him, while simultaneously watching to see if Booker chases, knowing that there's nobody left to take away a slip to the basket. This is just masterful awareness and high IQ basketball, and when the biggest guy on the floor can process things this quickly while being a threat to score from anywhere, the pathways this opens up offensively can't possibly be overstated. As a result, almost all of his scoring comes within the flow of the offense. Just under 78% of his field goals are assisted on, and that other 22% also includes those times where he beats everyone on the offensive glass for putbacks. Even his on-ball reps come primarily as an off-ball weapon. They'll get him going off of movement, where he can put it down off the catch and drive, or he'll just attack closeouts, where he's got that same aggression and ferocity as he looks to get to the rim and finish. He even has a short mid-range game he can fall back on when needed, pivoting back for short jumpers or hooks 5 to 10 feet away from the basket, and even sporting a little step back midi he can go to. While these assisted attacks make up a large portion of his diet with the ball, he does get the occasional isolation, and he's really been taking advantage of these, generating an absurdly efficient 1.33 points per possession. When facing up, he's always a threat to rise right over the top for a jumper, or catch his man off guard with a fake before slashing like a true isolationist, and due to that size, he's able to take advantage of smaller matchups. That's not to say he's just a perfect offensive player though. The limitations are still there. Before we get into that though, I want to give a quick shout out to Basketball Index for helping with this analysis and the making of this video. If you're not familiar with the site, they provide tons of statistical measurements, tools, and easily accessible graphics to further guide your understanding of the sport. I earlier mentioned quite a few of their talent grades, and through their player profiles tab, I can easily compare them to other players around the league. Using Lauri's 3-point shooting as an example, on this page I'm presented with various metrics detailing his ability to create and make these shots, along with how he stacks up against his peers. This is just one of the many useful tools found in the site that help guide me and many others through their analysis, and by signing up with the code VENUE30, you can get 30% off your first month subscription. I'll leave a link in the description below for anyone interested in signing up, and with that being said, let's take a look at the rest of Markkanen's offensive game. As is typically the nature with off-ball guys, he's not someone you can just throw out there and expect to create a bunch of offense for himself and others. He doesn't have the handle or strength to force the issue to that degree, and although he's not a bad passer by any means, is far from what you would expect from an initiator. He can make some nice deliveries and isn't too error prone, but again, most of these come as a sort of connective tissue in the process of creation as a team, as opposed to traditional playmaking. And with limitations as both a shot creator and playmaker, I have a hard time believing he'd be able to hold up this immense value as the #1 guy in a playoff setting that's specifically scheming to limit the off-ball utility. Remember though, I talked about how almost all of his individual offense comes within the flow of the team, and at 0.5 points per touch, he's first in the entire NBA, truly maximizing every opportunity. He's an efficiency god, scoring over 26 points every 75 possessions on true shooting percentage 9% ahead of the league's average. You put him next to a heavy on-ball creator or true primary, as the #2 option, he's an absolutely lethal off-ball weapon with so much versatility that he's one of the NBA's best needle movers in terms of raising a potential ceiling to that next level. Where that puts him as an overall offensive player, it's pretty difficult to actually pinpoint, but for now, I think I'm most comfortable saying he's a solid all-star on that end. Basketball is played on two sides though. So what about his defense? Honestly, I find it to be pretty insignificant in both regards, and that's not intended to undermine him. Again, he's a mobile 7-footer whose vertical capability helps him protect the rim, but it's not like he's this whirling force on the backline. He does suffer from a negative wingspan without much strength, still isn't the best at keeping up with wings on the perimeter, and doesn't make up for these things with high-level processing or active hands. Still, I think size and athleticism go a long way, and in some defensive context, I could see him bringing real value as a helping rim protector. Overall though, what I mean by insignificant is that in a vacuum, I don't really view him as either a positive or negative. Just a guy who's there, will make some plays, but ultimately doesn't really change much. In totality, what you're left with in my eyes is an all-star on offense who solidly treads water on defense, and metrics looking to capture value seem to think of him pretty consistently as a top 30 or so player in the league, while landing 29th in total minutes played. That certainly draws some attention for All-NBA ballots as the season comes to a close, and leaves him a comfortable frontrunner for this year's Most Improved Player award. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn my post notifications on to be first on more content. If you're interested in my more in-depth research, make sure to check out my website and social media profiles. You can find those links in the description. Feel free to let me know down in the comments what you think of Markkanen and just how good you believe he is. As always, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.